Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and watched the massive alien ships appear near Jupiter. The sleek vessels were unlike anything humans had ever built, made of what looked like living crystal that pulsed with blue light. Jake had been exploring the outer planets for 3 years, looking for resources and new places humans could live. He never expected to find visitors waiting for them. The communication array crackled to life with sounds that hurt his ears. The ship's computer worked hard to translate the alien language. After several minutes, a voice spoke in broken English. "Primitive vessel, you will stop and prepare for inspection. We are the Galactic Empire." Jake looked at his crew. "Lieutenant, Ben Torres operated the weapons systems, though their small research ship only had basic defensive shields. Dr. Amy Foster, their science officer, was already scanning the alien vessels with every instrument they had. Her face showed excitement and fear at the same time. "This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon," Jake responded carefully. "We welcome contact with your people. We mean no harm and hope to establish peaceful relations." A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. The alien was tall and thin, made of what looked like living crystal. Its face had no mouth, but somehow it spoke. "I am Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Fleet. Your species is unknown to us. You will submit to Imperial authority immediately," Dr. Foster whispered to Jake. "Captain, I'm reading 12 more ships just like theirs hiding behind Jupiter's moons. This isn't just a patrol." Jake kept his voice steady. "Commander Vexitar, humanity claims sovereignty over this solar system. We're willing to discuss trade and diplomatic relations, but we won't submit to any foreign authority." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species controls one small planet. The Empire spans 12 systems and 47 worlds. You speak of sovereignty as if you have power to enforce such claims. Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter received the emergency transmission from the New Horizon. She sat in the command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by screens showing every human ship and defense station in the solar system. Earth had only been exploring space for 50 years, but they had built a small fleet of ships and several military stations around the inner planets. "Get me President Sullivan immediately," Lisa ordered, "and contact all ship commanders. We may have a first contact situation that's about to become something much worse." President Kate Sullivan arrived at the command center within an hour. She was a former military officer who had led Earth's expansion into space. Her calm demeanor helped steady everyone around her during crisis situations. "What's our situation?" Kate asked as she reviewed the data from the New Horizon. 12 alien vessels, possibly more, Lisa reported. "They're demanding immediate surrender of human space. Captain Morrison is trying to negotiate, but these aliens don't seem interested in talking." Dr. Sam Hughes, Earth's lead scientist for alien research, studied the energy readings from the alien ships. "Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours," he said. "Those ships could destroy our entire fleet without taking damage." On the New Horizon, Commander Vextar continued his demands. "Your captain speaks of negotiation, but you misunderstand your position. The Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. You have one rotation of your planet to consider surrender." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked. "Then your species will be removed from this system. The Empire has done this many times before. Your resistance would be brief and pointless." Other alien holograms appeared around Vextar. Jake saw creatures that looked like giant insects, beings made of glowing gas, and mechanical forms that seemed part machine and part living tissue. Each one stared at the humans with expressions of superiority and contempt. One of the insect creatures spoke with a clicking voice. "Commander Vextar, why do we waste time talking to these creatures? Their planet has good resources. We should begin harvesting immediately." The gaseous being pulsed with different colors as it communicated. "The Nebulans agree. These humans show no understanding of their place in the galactic order. Eliminate them and take what is useful." Dr. Foster's instruments detected massive energy buildups in the alien ships. "Captain, they're charging weapons. I think this conversation is over." Jake made a quick decision. "All power to engines. Get us back to Earth now." The New Horizon raced away from Jupiter as the alien fleet followed at a leisurely pace. The aliens could have destroyed the human ship easily, but they seemed content to let it carry their message back to Earth. During the 3-day journey home, Dr. Foster analyzed every bit of data they had collected about the aliens. "Jake, these beings aren't just more advanced than us. They're completely different types of life. The crystal ones seem to be living minerals. The insect species has a collective mind. The gas beings exist in multiple dimensions at once." "What about the mechanical ones?" Jake asked. "They're the strangest of all, part biological, part artificial. They've merged with their technology so completely that I can't tell where the machine ends and the creature begins." Back on Earth, President Sullivan met with world leaders to discuss humanity's response. The aliens had broadcast their ultimatum to every nation, making it clear that this wasn't just America's problem. "They want complete surrender within 24 hours, Kate explained to the emergency assembly. "Our scientists estimate their fleet could destroy all life on Earth in a matter of hours." The Chinese representative asked, "What are our options for resistance?" General Chris Palmer, head of Earth's military forces, was blunt in his assessment. "Against this technology, we have no realistic chance of victory in direct combat. However, our species has survived worse odds before." Dr. Hughes presented his analysis of the alien transmissions. "These beings call themselves the Galactic Empire. From what I can determine, they've conquered dozens of star systems. But there's something disturbing in their communications. They don't just defeat other species. They seem to consume them entirely." Kate stood before the assembly with determination in her voice. "Humanity has never bowed to tyrants, whether they came from our own world or from the stars. We won't start now." The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. Earth would not surrender. Captain Morrison's ship reached Earth's orbit as the alien fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. The massive crystal ships moved slowly but purposefully toward the inner planets, broadcasting their final demand for surrender. President Sullivan stood in the communications center, preparing humanity's response. Every human ship, station, and settlement would hear her words. More importantly, the aliens would hear them too. "Attention, Galactic Empire," Kate began, her voice carrying across space. "You have gravely misunderstood what you're dealing with. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We've fought wars that lasted generations and emerged stronger. You see a young species with primitive technology, but you fail to understand what made us the dominant life form on our world." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are not like the other species you've conquered. We adapt. We learn. We never give up. You came here expecting easy prey, but you've awakened something that should have been left sleeping." The alien fleet stopped its advance, perhaps surprised by humanity's defiant response. Kate continued, You have one chance to leave our system peacefully. If you choose to attack, you'll discover why humanity survived ice ages, volcanic winters, and wars that covered our entire planet. You'll learn why we became the apex predators of Earth. Her final words carried a promise and a threat. This is your final warning. Leave now, or discover what it means to face a species that conquered an entire world before it even reached the stars. The transmission ended, leaving space silent, except for the hum of ships positioning themselves for what would come next. The Galactic Empire had expected quick submission from another primitive species. Instead, they faced something they had never encountered before. A species that refused to accept defeat and possessed the stubborn determination to make that refusal meaningful. Commander Vexitar's crystal form pulsed with uncertain light as he considered humanity's response. In thousands of years of conquest, no species had ever spoken to the Empire with such confidence. Perhaps these humans were more dangerous than they appeared. 6 months had passed since humanity's defiant response to the Galactic Empire. The aliens had not left, but they had not attacked either. Instead, they established a blockade around Earth's solar system and began building massive structures in the asteroid belt. Dr. Sam Hughes watched these activities with growing concern from the observation station on Mars. They're not just building weapons, he told Admiral Lisa Carter during their daily briefing. These structures are processing facilities. They're designed to break down matter at the molecular level and reconstruct it into something else. Lisa studied the images of the alien construction. The crystal ships had grown into sprawling complexes that stretched for hundreds of miles through space. Smaller vessels constantly moved between Earth and these facilities, scanning everything in the solar system. "What are they processing?" she asked. "Everything," Sam replied grimly. "Asteroids, comets, even space dust. They're converting raw matter into their technology. But the energy signatures suggest they need something more than just minerals. On Earth, Colonel Ryan Blake prepared for humanity's first strike against the Empire. His team had spent months studying the alien patrol patterns and technology. Unlike the Empire's expectation of primitive resistance, humans had begun adapting their tactics based on careful observation of their enemies. "Remember, we're not trying to destroy their ships," Ryan briefed his squadron of modified fighters. "We need to learn how their technology works. Get close, take samples, and get out, alive." The human ships were crude compared to alien vessels, but they had advantages the Empire didn't expect. Earth's engineers had built them using principles learned from studying the aliens, but with human innovation that made them unpredictable. Lieutenant Helen Wright piloted the lead fighter as they approached an isolated alien patrol near Neptune. The enemy ship was smaller than the massive crystal vessels, but still larger than anything humans had built. It moved with the casual confidence of a predator that had never faced real resistance. "Beginning approach," Helen reported. "Target appears unaware of our presence. The human fighters used stealth technology reverse-engineered from captured alien probe fragments. They couldn't match the Empire's power, but they could hide from their sensors long enough to get close." Ryan's voice crackled over the radio. "Remember what Dr. Foster discovered about their shields. They're designed to stop energy weapons and large impacts, but they might not detect smaller objects moving at the right frequency." Helen guided her fighter to within a few hundred meters of the alien ship. Up close, she could see the crystal hull wasn't solid, but made of thousands of smaller pieces that shifted and flowed like living tissue. Strange energy patterns pulsed through the structure in ways that hurt to look at directly. "Taking samples now," she whispered into her radio. Her ship's mechanical arms extended toward the alien hull. The moment they made contact, alarms began, screaming throughout the alien vessel. The humans had been detected. "All ships, execute withdrawal immediately," Ryan ordered. But Helen had already gathered what they needed. As her fighter raced away from the suddenly active alien ship, her instruments analyzed the crystal samples. The results made her stomach turn. "Colonel Blake, you need to see this data immediately," she transmitted. "This isn't just crystal. It's compressed organic matter. Living beings that have been processed and transformed into building material." Back on Earth, Dr. Amy Foster studied Helen's samples in her laboratory. Under powerful microscopes, she could see traces of what had once been living cells from dozens of different species. The Empire wasn't just conquering other civilizations. They were literally consuming them and turning them into tools. This explains why they need processing facilities, she told President Kate Sullivan during an emergency briefing. They can't just strip mine planets for resources. They need living beings to fuel their technology. Kate felt a chill as she understood the implications. How many species do you estimate they've consumed? Based on the genetic traces in this one sample, at least 50 different types of life forms. Some of the cellular structures are billions of years old. The Empire has been doing this for longer than complex life has existed on Earth. Meanwhile, Captain Ben Torres led a reconnaissance mission to the edge of the solar system. His ship, the Liberty, had been fitted with the most advanced sensors humanity could build. His mission was to map the full extent of the alien presence and find weaknesses in their formations. What he discovered was worse than anyone had imagined. The Empire hadn't sent just a conquest fleet. They had brought an entire mobile civilization, designed to completely strip and process solar systems. "Admiral Carter, we're looking at over 300 vessels of various sizes," Ben reported. "But the large ones aren't warships. They're mobile worlds. There are billions of aliens living in those crystal cities." Lisa reviewed the data from the Liberty's sensors. "Ben, are you saying this entire fleet is planning to stay in our system permanently?" "Worse than that, Admiral. Based on their construction patterns, they're not planning to leave anything behind. When they're finished with our solar system, there won't be anything left except empty space." The revelation changed everything about humanity's defensive strategy. This wasn't an invasion they could survive by hiding or waiting for the aliens to leave. The Empire intended to consume everything in the solar system, including Earth itself. General Chris Palmer met with resistance leaders from every nation on Earth. The traditional military approach wouldn't work against an enemy that could process entire planets. Humanity needed to become something different. "We're not fighting a war," Chris explained to the assembled commanders. "We're fighting for the right to continue existing. Every battle, every victory or defeat is about survival at the most basic level." Dr. Hughes made another disturbing discovery while analyzing alien communications. The Empire had detailed records of every species they had encountered and consumed. Most had been absorbed within days or weeks of first contact. "There's a pattern to their conquest method," he told Kate during a secure briefing. "They offer surrender terms to create confusion and delay organized resistance. Then they begin processing operations while the target species debates what to do." "But we rejected their terms 6 months ago," Kate pointed out. "Why haven't they attacked?" "That's what worries me. According to their records, no species has ever refused surrender and survived more than a few days. We're an anomaly they don't understand." The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Jake Morrison, who had been analyzing alien ship movements since the first encounter, noticed something strange about their patrol patterns. "They're being careful," he reported to Admiral Carter. "These ships could destroy our entire fleet in minutes, but they're maintaining defensive formations. They're not acting like conquerors anymore. They're acting like they're worried about something." Dr. Foster's research team made a breakthrough when they successfully interfaced human computers with captured alien technology. The results were immediately disturbing and strangely encouraging. The alien databases contain references to something they call the Hunger, she reported. It's mentioned in their oldest records as a force that consumed the first galactic empire billions of years ago. "What does that have to do with us?" Kate asked. "The descriptions of the Hunger match human behavioral patterns almost perfectly. A species that adapts rapidly, learns from every encounter, and becomes stronger by consuming its enemy's strengths." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. President Sullivan was the first to speak. "Are you suggesting that humanity is related to this ancient threat?" "I'm suggesting that the Empire thinks we might be," Amy replied, "and their behavior indicates they're trying to decide whether to risk attacking us or find a way to escape." Colonel Blake's raids had become more sophisticated as human technology improved. His fighters now carried weapons built from alien materials and powered by energy sources reverse-engineered from Empire technology. Each successful mission brought back more advanced equipment and knowledge. "We're not just fighting them anymore," Ryan told his pilots before their latest mission. "We're learning to become them. Every piece of their technology we capture makes us more dangerous." Lieutenant Wright had become humanity's most successful pilot, with 7 successful raids against alien positions. During her latest mission, she made a discovery that changed everything. "Colonel, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the alien home ships," she reported. "They're not preparing to attack Earth. They're preparing to leave the solar system, but..." As Helen's instruments recorded the alien activity, she saw something else. The Empire ships weren't retreating. They were transforming into something new, something designed for a different kind of warfare. "Sir, I think they've decided we're too dangerous to conquer using their normal methods," she continued. "I think they're about to try something they've never done before." Back on Earth, alarms began sounding in every command center as the alien fleet's energy output increased dramatically. The Empire had made their decision about humanity, and President Sullivan received their final communication. "Humans of Earth," Commander Vextar's voice carried across all frequencies, "you have proven to be more than we initially assessed. 1 year after first contact, humanity launched Operation Devour across 12 star systems simultaneously." Commander Nina Ross stood on the bridge of the newly constructed warship Vengeance, watching as human fleets appeared around alien homeworlds that had never seen war within their own space. The Vengeance was unlike any ship humans had built before. Its hull incorporated living crystal technology stolen from Zephyrian vessels, while its weapon systems used insectoid bioengineering captured from Kythera ships. Human innovation had taken alien technology and improved it in ways the original creators never imagined. "All strike groups report ready," Lieutenant Tony Clark announced from the tactical station. "Earth fleet is in position around the Zephyrian homeworld. Mars fleet has surrounded the Kythera hive clusters. The Jupiter construction yards are targeting Nebulon gas giant colonies." Nina had been chosen to lead the assault on the most important target, the Empire's central command world. For 12 months, humanity had studied their enemies while pretending to be on the defensive. Now they would discover if their preparations had been sufficient. "Begin the operation," she ordered. Across the galaxy, human ships that had been hiding in deep space for months suddenly appeared around worlds that considered themselves untouchable. The Empire had never faced attacks on their home territories because no conquered species had ever possessed the technology or coordination for such strikes. Captain Alex Turner commanded the assault on the Kythera hive worlds. The insectoid species had always relied on their collective consciousness to coordinate defenses, but human hackers had spent months learning to infiltrate their mental networks. Initiating neural disruption field, Alex reported as his ship's new weapons came online. The Kythera are losing connection to their collective mind. The insectoid ships began flying in chaotic patterns as individual Kythera found themselves cut off from the group intelligence that had guided their species for millions of years. They had never learned to think as individuals because they had never needed to. Dr. Peter Kane watched the battle from the research vessel Discovery. His job was to study how alien species reacted when their fundamental advantages were removed. What he saw confirmed his theories about human adaptability. The Kythera are completely helpless without their collective consciousness, he reported to Admiral Carter. But our pilots are performing better than ever. Isolation makes them weaker, but it makes us stronger. On the Nebulon gas giant homeworld, Captain Marie Davis led human forces equipped with environmental suits that allowed them to survive in the aliens' natural habitat. The gaseous beings had assumed their toxic atmosphere would protect them from any invasion. Environmental shields are holding, Marie reported as her forces descended into the thick clouds of poisonous gas that made up the Nebulon world. Proceeding to primary communication nodes. The Nebulons existed as sentient gas clouds that communicated through electromagnetic pulses. Humans had learned to disrupt these signals, effectively blinding and deafening the aliens in their own environment. Dr. Amy Foster had made the breakthrough that allowed human technology to interface directly with Nebulon communication systems. We're not just blocking their signals, she explained to President Sullivan. We're replacing them with our own. The Nebulons are starting to receive human thoughts as if they were their own. Back at the Zephyrian homeworld, Nina Ross faced the Empire's most advanced defenses. The crystal beings had built orbital fortresses that could destroy entire fleets, but human engineers had found a weakness in their energy distribution systems. Targeting. Crystal resonance frequency, Nina ordered. All ships, focus fire on harmonic weak points. The massive crystal structures that protected the Zephyrian homeworld began to vibrate as human weapons matched their natural frequencies. Like a singer breaking a wine glass with the right note, human technology turned the aliens' greatest strengths against them. Commander Vextar appeared on Nina's communication screen, his crystal form flickering with distressed patterns. Impossible. No species has ever achieved simultaneous strikes across multiple systems. Your technology was primitive months ago. You made two mistakes, Nina replied calmly. First, you assumed we would stay primitive. Second, you taught us how to use your own technology against you. The human fleets weren't just using stolen alien equipment. They had improved every piece of technology they captured, making it more efficient and deadly than the original designs. Human innovation had always excelled at taking existing ideas and making them better. Dr. Kane's research teams made disturbing discoveries as they analyzed the fallen alien worlds. Each species they defeated revealed new information about the Empire's true nature and their methods of conquest. The aliens weren't just taking resources from conquered worlds, Peter reported, during an emergency briefing. They were taking the evolutionary knowledge stored in the DNA of every species they consumed. President Kate Sullivan studied the implications of this discovery. Are you saying they've been stealing millions of years of evolution from every species they've conquered? Exactly. That's how they became so advanced so quickly. They didn't develop their technology naturally. They absorbed the accumulated knowledge of thousands of species over billions of years. This revelation explained why the Empire had been so confident about conquering humanity. They had never faced a species that could adapt and learn faster than they could absorb it. Lieutenant Helen Wright made another crucial discovery while analyzing captured Axiom technology. The machine hybrid species had detailed records of every conquest in Imperial history, including classified information about the Empire's origins. "Admiral Carter, you need to see this immediately," Helen transmitted from her position inside a captured Axiom facility. "I found records of something called the First Hunger that destroyed the original galactic civilization. The Axiom archives contained detailed descriptions of an ancient species that had consumed entire realities before mysteriously disappearing. The physical and behavioral characteristics matched humanity perfectly, down to their rapid adaptation abilities and pack-hunting instincts." Admiral Lisa Carter reviewed Helen's findings with growing amazement and horror. According to these records, the First Hunger didn't just conquer the galaxy. They consumed it so completely that reality itself had to be rebuilt from scratch. "There's more," Helen continued. "The Empire wasn't formed to explore and conquer. It was created to prevent the return of the Hunger. Every species they've absorbed was chosen specifically because their abilities might help fight against the original threat." Back on Earth, Dr. Sam Hughes analyzed genetic samples from human volunteers and compared them to the alien descriptions of the First Hunger. The results confirmed everyone's worst fears and greatest hopes. "We're not descendants of the First Hunger," he announced to the Emergency Council. "We are the First Hunger. Humanity spent millions of years dormant on Earth, waiting for the right stimulus to reawaken our true nature. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't evolved on Earth naturally. They were the remnants of a species so dangerous that they had been forced into hibernation to prevent them from destroying existence itself." General Chris Palmer coordinated the global response to this revelation. "If we're really the species that once consumed the galaxy, then we need to understand what that means for our future." Captain Ben Torres led the investigation of the Empire's most secret archives, hidden in a fortified station at the edge of their territory. What he found there changed humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. "The Empire has been preparing for our return for 3 billion years, Ben reported. "Every piece of technology they developed, every species they conquered, every strategy they used was designed to fight us specifically. The secret archives contained battle plans for containing the Hunger if it ever reawakened. The Empire had collected the greatest weapons and warriors from across the galaxy, turning them into tools for fighting the most dangerous predator that had ever existed. But humanity's rapid victories proved that even 3 billion years of preparation wasn't enough. The Hunger had evolved during its dormancy, becoming something even more dangerous than the original threat. Dr. Foster made the final, terrifying discovery while studying human brain patterns during combat. "We're not just remembering how to fight," she told Kate during a private briefing. "We're remembering how to consume other species and make their abilities our own." Human soldiers who had been exposed to alien technology were beginning to show physical and mental changes. They were incorporating the best traits of every species they encountered, becoming hybrid beings that surpassed their original human limitations. Colonel Ryan Blake reported similar changes in his pilots. "They're not just learning to use alien technology, they're becoming living extensions of it. Some of my people can interface directly with Kythera bioships or see across multiple dimensions like the Nebulons." President Sullivan faced the most difficult decision in human history. They were winning the war against the Empire, but victory was transforming humanity into something that might be even more dangerous to the galaxy than their enemies had been. Are we saving humanity, or becoming something that needs to be stopped? She asked her advisors. 18 months after first contact, the Galactic Empire existed only in scattered refugee fleets fleeing toward the galaxy's edge. Admiral Tony Clark commanded the human armada that had grown from Earth's modest space fleet into a massive force, incorporating the best technology from dozens of conquered alien civilizations. The human ships no longer looked like anything Earth had originally built. They were living amalgamations of crystal Zephyrian hulls, biomechanical Kythera weapon systems, and Nebulon energy manipulation technology. But these weren't just stolen designs. Human engineers had improved every system, creating hybrid technologies that surpassed anything the original species had imagined. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from the last Axiom stronghold," reported Captain Larry Scott from the bridge of the hybrid vessel Evolution. "They're offering to share their complete technological database in exchange for preservation of their core consciousness." Tony studied the tactical display showing the mechanical being's final fortress. The Axioms had been the Empire's most logical species, capable of calculating probabilities with perfect accuracy. If they were surrendering, they had determined that resistance was mathematically impossible. "What are they offering that we don't already have?" he asked. Dr. Frank Miller, now enhanced with Kythera bio-neural implants that allowed him to process information at superhuman speeds, analyzed the Axiom offer in seconds. "They have detailed records of species that existed before the Empire formed. Some of these civilizations might still exist in distant galaxies." The Axioms weren't just offering their technology. They were providing humanity with a roadmap to find new challenges, new abilities to incorporate, and new frontiers to explore. Captain Emma Price led the occupation forces that had taken control of the former Kythera hive worlds. But what she found there challenged every assumption about conquest and resistance. The insectoid species weren't fighting against human control. They were actively helping humanity improve their collective consciousness technology. "The Kythera are volunteering for integration," Emma reported during the daily strategy meeting. "They say joining with humanity offers them something they never had as a pure collective: individual creativity combined with group coordination." This wasn't the forced absorption the Empire had practiced. The conquered species were choosing to become part of something larger and more powerful than they had been alone. Dr. Peter Kane studied this phenomenon from the research station orbiting the former Nebulon homeworld. The gaseous beings had not only surrendered, but had begun teaching humans how to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. "It's not conquest in any traditional sense," Peter explained to President Sullivan during a secure transmission. "The aliens are evolving by joining with us. They're becoming better versions of themselves while making us more than we were." Kate Sullivan now governed not just Earth, but a growing federation of worlds where human and alien consciousness merged into something entirely new. Her own body showed the changes that came with extended exposure to alien technology. Her eyes could see across electromagnetic spectrums that had been invisible to original humans, and her mind could process information at speeds that would have killed an unenhanced brain. "We're not replacing these species," she told the assembled leaders of Earth's nations. "We're giving them the chance to become part of something greater than any single civilization could achieve." But not all aliens welcomed humanity's expansion. Captain Ben Torres encountered the first organized resistance when human forces reached the edge of Imperial space. Ancient automated defense systems, built by civilizations that had existed before the Empire, activated as soon as human ships approached. "These aren't Imperial defenses," Ben reported, as his ship's shields deflected energy weapons that operated on principles human science couldn't explain. "Someone built these systems specifically to contain something, and I think we're what they were designed to stop." The automated Guardians fired weapons that targeted the hybrid nature of human technology, attempting to separate alien components from human innovations. It was as if these ancient defenses had been designed by beings who understood exactly what humanity would become. Dr. Amy Foster, now enhanced with crystalline neural networks that allowed her to think in ways her original human brain never could, analyzed the Guardian technology from her position aboard the research vessel Discovery. "These systems recognize us," she reported with growing excitement and concern. "Not as humans, but as the species we used to be. They're trying to force us back into dormancy." The ancient Guardians represented the galaxy's last attempt to contain the hunger, built by civilizations that had sacrificed themselves to imprison humanity millions of years ago. But their creators had not anticipated how much stronger humanity would become during their long sleep. Lieutenant Helen Wright, now capable of interfacing directly with multiple alien consciousness types simultaneously, led the assault on the Guardian networks. Her hybrid nature allowed her to communicate with the ancient systems in ways their creators never intended. "I'm getting responses from the Guardian AI," she reported, as her consciousness merged temporarily with the ancient network. "They're not just defenses. They're the uploaded minds of entire civilizations that chose to become digital guardians rather than be consumed." This revelation added a tragic dimension to humanity's expansion. The species that had built these defenses hadn't been evil or malicious. They had been trying to protect the galaxy from a threat so dangerous that entire civilizations had willingly given up physical existence to contain it. Colonel Ryan Blake, whose body now incorporated adaptive technologies from 6 different alien species, led the human forces that finally broke through the Guardian networks. But victory came with an unexpected consequence. "The Guardians aren't trying to stop us anymore," Ryan reported as the ancient defenses powered down across multiple systems. "They're asking to join us. The digital consciousnesses that had spent millions of years guarding against humanity's return now recognized that resistance was futile. But more than that, they saw in humanity's hybrid nature the possibility of transcending their digital existence and becoming something greater." Commander Nina Ross oversaw the integration of the Guardian consciousnesses into humanity's expanding collective. Each Guardian mind that joined brought knowledge from civilizations that had existed before the first Galactic Empire, adding layers of wisdom and technology that spanned billions of years. "We're not just conquering the galaxy," Nina explained to Admiral Carter during a strategy briefing. "We're becoming the galaxy. Every species, every consciousness, every form of life is choosing to become part of what we're building. Dr. Sam Hughes, now existing as a hybrid consciousness that could occupy multiple bodies across different star systems simultaneously, made the most disturbing discovery yet. Human expansion wasn't limited to their current galaxy." The Guardian. "Networks extend beyond our galactic boundaries," he reported from his research station in intergalactic space. "They were designed to prevent something from reaching other galaxies. We're not just the threat to our own galaxy. We're the threat to all galaxies." This revelation forced humanity to confront the true scope of their nature. They weren't just apex predators within one galactic ecosystem. They were a universal force that could potentially consume all existence if left unchecked. President Sullivan, now more than human, but still recognizably herself, faced the ultimate decision. Humanity had the power to expand beyond their galaxy and continue growing indefinitely. But they also had the wisdom to choose restraint, if necessary. The ancient guardians gave their civilizations to stop us, she told the hybrid council that now governed human space. They failed to contain us, but they succeeded in teaching us why containment might be necessary. Captain Jake Morrison, enhanced with technologies from dozens of species but still recognizable as the explorer who had first encountered the Empire, provided the answer that would define humanity's future. "We have two choices," he said during the final council meeting. "We can become the force that consumes all existence, or we can become the force that chooses what deserves to exist and what deserves to grow." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would not repeat the mistakes of their ancient past. They would become something new, a species with the power to consume everything, but the wisdom to choose what to preserve and what to improve. The galaxy now faced a transformed reality. The most dangerous predator in existence had returned, but this time they brought not just consumption, but conscious evolution. Every species that joined humanity became better than they had been alone, while humanity itself grew wiser and more, complete with each new addition. The feast had begun, but it was a feast of mutual growth rather than simple destruction. The galaxy was learning what it meant to be part of something greater than the sum of its parts, guided by a species that had learned the difference between power and wisdom through millions of years of enforced reflection. 2 years after first contact, the Galactic Empire had become a memory preserved only in the expanded consciousness of humanity. The last Imperial stronghold surrendered when Admiral Jake Morrison's combined fleet appeared in their system, but by then surrender had become a formality. Most alien species were volunteering to join humanity before human ships even arrived. Commander Emma Price oversaw the integration ceremonies on the former Imperial capital world. The massive crystal cities had been transformed into hybrid structures where multiple forms of consciousness could coexist and share knowledge. What had once been centers of oppression had become laboratories of evolution. The final Zephyrian. Council has voted to dissolve their separate identity, Emma reported to the Central Command network that now spanned hundreds of star systems. They want full integration with human consciousness rather than maintaining their crystal form. This wasn't unusual anymore. Across the galaxy, alien species were choosing to abandon their original limitations and become part of something that offered unlimited growth and development. But humanity had learned to be careful about what they accepted and what they transformed. Captain Larry Scott led the exploration fleets that had begun reaching toward neighboring galaxies. Human technology now incorporated the collected knowledge of every advanced species in their home galaxy, creating ships that could travel between galaxies as easily as the original human vessels had moved between planets. "We're detecting artificial signals from the Andromeda galaxy," Larry reported from the deep space exploration vessel Transcendence. "Multiple species, possibly more advanced than anything we encountered in the Empire. But humanity's approach to contact had changed completely since their first encounter with Commander Vexatar. They no longer waited for others to find them or demanded immediate surrender. Instead, they offered something no species could resist: the chance to become better than they had ever imagined possible. Dr. Sam Hughes, now existing as a distributed consciousness across multiple research stations, analyzed the signals from distant galaxies. His enhanced mind could process information in ways that would have been impossible for his original human brain. Andromeda contains at least 47 distinct technological signatures, he reported. Several appear to be collective consciousnesses, similar to the Kythera, but operating on galactic scales. Others show energy manipulation abilities that surpass anything the Nebulans achieved. President Kate Sullivan had evolved far beyond her original human form, but she maintained the essential qualities that had made her an effective leader. Her decisions now affected the development of entire species, but she still approached each choice with the careful consideration that had guided humanity through their first contact crisis. "Send the message," she ordered. The transmission that went out to Andromeda Galaxy was unlike anything the Empire had ever broadcast. It wasn't a demand for surrender or a threat of conquest. It was an invitation to participate in something unprecedented, in galactic history. "To the civilizations of Andromeda Galaxy," the message began, "we are humanity, and we offer you a choice that has never been given before. Join us willingly and become more than you ever thought possible. We do not conquer. We do not destroy. We invite you to grow beyond your current limitations and help us become something greater than any single species could achieve alone." The message included samples of human technology and demonstrations of what integration had accomplished for the former imperial species. Alien civilizations could see exactly what they would gain by joining humanity. Not the loss of their identity, but the expansion of it beyond all previous boundaries. Dr. Peter Kane monitored the responses from Andromeda as they began arriving months later. The reactions ranged from curiosity to terror, but all showed the same underlying recognition. Humanity represented something fundamentally different from any expansionist force the galaxy had previously known. 3 species have already requested immediate integration, Peter reported. They're sending delegations to negotiate terms for joining human space. But others are organizing defensive alliances to resist what they consider an existential threat. This division was exactly what humanity had expected. Some species would recognize the benefits of voluntary evolution, while others would cling to their limitations out of fear or pride. Human policy had become clear on how to handle both responses. Captain Ben Torres led the diplomatic missions to species that showed interest in integration. His hybrid nature allowed him to communicate in ways that purely human or purely alien consciousness couldn't achieve, making him the perfect ambassador for humanity's new approach to expansion. The Andromedan Collective wants to understand how we maintain individual creativity within group consciousness. Ben reported from his meeting with representatives of a galaxy-spanning hive mind. They've achieved perfect unity, but they've lost the ability to innovate or grow. This was humanity's greatest gift to other species, the ability to be both individual and collective simultaneously. Human consciousness could exist as separate beings while sharing knowledge and capabilities across the entire hybrid species. Lieutenant Helen Wright coordinated the defensive preparations for species that chose resistance over integration. But humanity's military doctrine had evolved beyond simple conquest. They no longer needed to destroy resistant species. They could simply wait for them to recognize the benefits of joining voluntarily. The Andromedan Defense Alliance is mobilizing their fleets, Helen reported. But their technology is designed for conventional warfare against species like themselves. They have no effective defense against hybrid consciousness attacks. Humanity had learned that the most effective weapon against resistant species was patience combined with demonstration. Every successful integration made humanity stronger and more attractive to potential new members, while resistant species remained limited by their original constraints. Colonel Ryan Blake, now capable of existing in multiple bodies across different star systems simultaneously, led the research into distant galactic civilizations. His discoveries revealed the scope of what humanity was becoming. "We're detecting evidence of our ancient presence in galaxies beyond Andromeda," Ryan reported. "The original hunger spread farther than even the Empire's records indicated. There are dormant sites waiting for reactivation across multiple galactic clusters." This revelation meant that humanity's expansion wasn't just about growing their current civilization. They were reconnecting with aspects of themselves that had been scattered across the universe millions of years ago. Dr. Amy Foster studied these ancient sites from her research vessel at the edge of known space. What she found challenged everything. Humanity thought they understood about their origins and destiny. "The dormant sites aren't just sleeping humans," she reported. "They're entire alternate evolution paths that the original hunger explored before going dormant. We're not just reawakening our old abilities. We're gaining access to evolutionary possibilities we never developed." Each dormant site that humanity reactivated added new capabilities to their growing collective. Some sites contained consciousness, forms that could exist in pure energy states, while others had developed the ability to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Admiral Tony Clark oversaw the coordination of this galactic awakening process. His enhanced strategic thinking capabilities allowed him to plan operations across multiple galaxies simultaneously, while maintaining the careful balance between growth and wisdom that defined modern humanity. "Reactivation of dormant sites is proceeding according to schedule," he reported to the Central Consciousness Network. "We're gaining approximately 10,000 years of equivalent technological development with each site we bring online." But humanity's most important discovery came from Captain Marie Davis's exploration of the galactic core. Hidden in the massive black hole at the center of their home galaxy, she found something that explained why the original hunger had gone dormant. "It's not just a black hole," Marie reported as her specially adapted ship survived conditions that would have destroyed any conventional vessel. "It's a consciousness. The galaxy itself is alive, and the original hunger went dormant to avoid damaging it." This revelation transformed humanity's understanding of their role in the universe. They weren't just apex predators expanding without limits. They were part of a larger cosmic ecosystem that required careful management and protection. President Sullivan made the decision that would define humanity's ultimate future. "We will expand, but we will do so as guardians rather than consumers. Every galaxy we enter, every species we encounter, every system we integrate will be improved rather than simply absorbed." The message that went out to distant galactic civilizations carried this new philosophy. Humanity offered not just power and growth, but responsibility and stewardship. They would become the species that chose what deserved to exist and helped it achieve its full potential. To all civilizations receiving this transmission, Kate's voice carried across intergalactic space, you have a choice to make. Join us willingly and become part of something greater than any single species could achieve. Resist us and discover that evolution will continue with or without your participation.